So let's start in child's pose. We're going to do about 8 to 10 breaths here. You can get a little bit more of a stretch in the armpits by grabbing a block and placing your hands on top of the block. Really pressing through to the floor with your chest. A couple more deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. All right, let's move into tabletop position, and we're gonna do 5 cat-cows. So inhale, drop the belly button, lift the chin. And on your exhale, round the back, tuck the belly button into the spine. And inhale, drop the belly button, lift the chin. Press the shoulder blades down and back. And exhale, blow all that air out. Tuck the belly button into the spine. Drop the chin to the floor. Pelvis is tucked. Press into down dog. We're going to hold for a couple breaths here. Now we're just going to pedal the feet one at a time, bringing the thigh in toward the chest. We're going to do about 5 on each side. And now we're just going to bring both thighs to the chest. We're going to hold this for about 5 deep breaths. So now we're going to step the feet in towards the hands and flat back here in a half forward fold, strengthening the back, lengthening the back. Now let's just fold it with bent knees, grab the elbows, and just let gravity pull your upper body down to the floor in ragdoll. We're going to hold here for about 8 to 10 breaths. Really just letting gravity do the work here. Our weight is dispersed evenly through the feet. And we're just resting on the thighs with the knees bent and soft. One more deep breath here. Now let's place the hands on the calves, flatten the back, lift the chin, flat back here. And exhale, let's place the hands on the floor and widen the feet so that your heels are on the mat and toes are off of the mat. And slowly lower into garland pose. You can put your hands at heart and place the elbows inside the knees, pressing the knees out, opening the hips. You feel free to rock side to side, loosening up the hips. And just a couple more deep breaths here. Feel free to loosen the neck, roll it around. Now we're going to slowly move it to a seated position with the legs flat out into a pike position. And we're going to move into a seated twist. So let's take the right leg over the left arm back, and use your right elbow to press that leg, looking over the left shoulder. Here comes my son. He just needs a little hug. I'm sure we all do. And let's go ahead and switch sides. So let's bring the left foot over the right leg, place the right arm behind the right hip, and the left elbow is pressing against the left knee. Sit nice and tall, looking over your right shoulder. Now we're going to slowly move out of this, and if you have a blanket with you, feel free to use it for this next one. We're going to move into knees, chest, chin, so you can come into tabletop position on the hands and the knees, and slowly just walk your hands forward from tabletop, placing the chin on your blanket or right on the mat, dropping the chest to the mat. So we've got our knees, our chest, and our chin all on the mat. Feel free for more of a stretch here to open up the chest and shoulders, to bind your hands behind your back. This one can be a little uncomfortable, so feel free to leave your hands extended on the mat. One more deep breath here. And let's curl those toes under and slowly press yourself back into tabletop position. Remove that blanket if you have one. And we're just going to slowly work our way into cobra position on the forearms. Legs are about hip width apart. Elbows under the shoulders, and slowly press your hips up off the ground, keeping your pelvis tucked under. Into baby cobra here. Couple deep breaths. Now let's slowly lower the chest back down to the ground. Bring the hands right under the shoulders. And we're slowly going to press on up into cobra position. Keeping that pelvis tucked under, slightly lifting the hips off the ground, pressing the shoulders down and back, and extending the neck. And on your exhale, let's slowly lower yourself back to the ground. Inhale up and press those heels into down dog on your exhale. Let's lower the knees to the ground. Exhale, child pose. And we're going to rest here for a couple deep breaths. All right, last deep breath here. And we're going to move into a plank down dog warrior one sequence. So let's start in plank. And we're going to rotate to the right, bringing the right arm up, pressing through the left arm. Couple breaths here. And exhale, lower that right arm back to the mat. Press into downward dog. We're going to hold for 3 breaths. So we're going to bring the left leg forward and inhale, stand it up, warrior one. 3 breaths here. Exhale, lower the hands back to the mat, step back into plank. And we're going to repeat on the other side. Left arm up. And exhale, lower the left hand back to the mat, plank. Inhale here. And exhale, press into downward dog. One more deep breath here. And bring the right foot between the hands. Inhale, arms up into warrior one. 3 deep breaths. Now on your next exhale, let's bring the hands to the hips, Slowly rotate the feet to the side of the mat and slightly turn your toes inward. We're going to move into wide leg forward fold. Inhale and exhale. We're going to forward fold, flat back. From here, you can grab a strap behind the back, or if you can bind your hands, feel free to do so here. And just let the arms fall, stretching the shoulders and the back, letting gravity do the work. If this is too intense, feel free to grab a block and place it under your head. Or you can always just keep your hands on the mat. You know, play around in this pose. Work with your flexibility. And wherever you're at, remember, it's okay. It's your journey. There's always room to progress. Let's inhale, lift the chest flat back, and walk the feet together. We're going to move it to the ground now. And we're going to sit in hero pose. So knees are about parallel. We're going to drop the hips right in between the feet so the heels are cupping the hips, toes cup the glutes, hands are on our knees. Big inhale and exhale. We're going to work the shoulders here. So let's take the right arm up, left arm back, and try and grab those hands. Feel free to use a strap here if you need to. You can either touch the fingertips or work towards grabbing the wrists. And just focus on your breath. Exhale and slowly release your arms, placing the hands back on the thighs. Big inhale. And exhale, let's lift the left arm up, right arm comes back. Try and grab those fingertips, maybe walk them down, grabbing your wrists. Remember to just focus on your breath here, embracing the stretch. This is a great one to do if you sit at a desk for work. Remember to keep the chin up and the spine neutral with the neck. And on our next exhale, let's slowly unwind the arms And sitting on up, we're going to move into camel. So let's take the left arm up, right arm back to the heel. Inhale up. Let's switch sides. Left hand reaches the left heel, right arm back. And we're going to move into full camel. Let's try and take both hands to both heels. When you're ready, drop the neck. Make sure to keep your pelvis tilted forward, squeezing the glutes. And just take a couple deep breaths here in camel. All right, on the next exhale, slowly unwind, sitting back into hero's pose. And we're gonna work our way down onto the floor and progress into bow pose. So let's take the hands by the side, palms facing up. And let's bring the right foot to the right hand. Slowly lift the chest. And exhale, lower that foot back. Switch legs, grab the left foot with the left hand and lift. And exhale, lower to the mat. We're going to grab both feet now. Inhale, lift the chest and the legs. Focusing on your breath here. Bow is not the easiest of poses, so just embrace where you're at. Really working on our back flexibility, opening the chest and the shoulders, the neck, and exhale, lower to the mat. We're going to bring the hands right under the shoulders. And we're going to press up on your next inhale into full cobra, keeping the pelvis tilted down. Neck is long, shoulders are down and back, pressing through the palms of the hands. Your gaze is forward. And on your next exhale, dropping into child's pose. We're going to rest here for a couple of deep breaths. Nice job. We're almost done. All right, let's get one more deep breath here. And on your exhale, let's bring it into tabletop and flip it over onto your back. We're going to move into bridge pose, so keep your feet flat on the floor, knees are bent. Your fingertips should just about touch your heels on this one. Feet should just be almost underneath the knees. And on your exhale, slowly lift one vertebrae at a time into bridge pose. Feel free to bind the hands here, moving your shoulders closer towards each other. For a deeper stretch, opening the chest, stretching the shoulders. Really feeling this one in the glutes and the legs. The nice stretch in the chest and shoulders. So this really strengthens the glutes. If you need a little bit of a break, feel free to place a block underneath the small of your back to kind of allow yourself to open the chest a little more and focus on the stretch versus the strengthening aspect. And on your next exhale, we're going to slowly lower one vertebrae at a time all the way back down to the mat. And we're going to move into fish pose. So you may need a couple of blocks for this one. Let's go ahead and extend the legs. Grab your blocks and we're going to place them in a T position. So there's a couple levels you can do. You can place them both flat down in a T position, or you can put them on their lowest level underneath the spine, highest level underneath the head. I'm going to start with that. You want your first block to be right under the bra strap, and your head should just rest nicely on the top block. Arms are just relaxed to your side, feet are relaxed. And we're going to take some deep breaths here. We're really going to fall into this pose. If that's too easy, feel free to flip your block under your head. Ultimately, we want our head to be able to touch the ground. Although my thoracic spine is not that flexible yet. So I'm working towards that with the blocks. Again, just work with this pose. Ultimately, we want to be able to have our head on the mat, like I said before. So I'm just going to really feel this stretch here. And then I'm going to place the block on its lowest level. I'm going to lift my head and just let it fall here on the lowest level. Feel free to cross the legs here to give yourself a little bit more of a hip opening. A couple more deep breaths here. And if you've bound your legs in crisscross position, you can go ahead and release them now, extending your legs out about hip width apart, and just relax the feet. And on your next exhale, slowly roll to one side, remove those blocks. And we're going to move into Savasana, or corpse pose. So let's just lay flat on the back, palms are up. Feet are relaxed, hands are relaxed. And really just fall into the mat here. Feel as if gravity is just pulling you into the earth, grounding you. Bringing your focus back to your breath. Inhale, the belly rises, followed by the lungs. And on your exhale, the lungs fall, and then the belly deflates. Continue with this breath. Feeling all that tension released. We've got just a couple more deep breaths here. And on your next exhale, let's slowly roll it over to one side. Start to just wiggle the toes and the fingertips. Maybe you begin to open the eyes here just a little bit. Slowly waking up. Now slowly just press yourself up to a seated position. And we're going to inhale, arms up. Exhale, namaste. Thank you for joining my practice today.